I'll draw your attention to Prince Mohammed bin Salman being in US, Saudi Arabia having a military pact with Pakistan. Since we took care, that's what he says, of India in May, we can take care of you in the Middle East. It's a sales pitch. I handled India, I can handle Gaza. When he says it's an 88-hour trailer and that the Indian army can teach Pakistan how to behave, his statement is a statement based on fact. During Operation Sindoor, 20% of Pakistan Air Force infrastructure was hit by India.
Hello and a very warm welcome to all. You're watching Hindustan Times and my name is Aisha Varma. On this segment of Point Blank, we discuss Pakistan, Operation Sindoor and terrorism. To bring us the latest, we have HT's executive editor, Mr. Shishir Gupta, joining us. Sir, namaskar. Sir, we need to begin with a quote of a statement that's been recently made. This has been made by Pakistan's Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir. Essentially, he's once again threatened India. He has said, and I quote, Pakistan will respond to those who impose war on it the same way as it did in May. He also said, when a Muslim puts their trust in Allah, he turns the dirt thrown at the enemy into missiles. Could you explain what the Pakistan Army Chief means with this statement?
See, the context of where he made the statement was at the President House in Islamabad. And in the audience was the King of Jordan, Abdullah II. Now, this statement is one part. Then I'll draw your attention to Prince Mohammed bin Salman being in US, Saudi Arabia having a military pact with Pakistan, President Donald Trump calling Asim Munir as his favorite field marshal. Now, if you connect all the dots, what essentially the field marshal is saying is that since we took care, that's what he says, of India in May, we can take care of you in the Middle East. Essentially what he's saying. Now, given the context that UN has approved the International Stabilization Force under a board headed by President Donald Trump, then there is Tony Blair, other people, essentially he's making out a case of Pakistan heading the International Stabilization Force in Gaza. That is what he's actually saying. It's a sales pitch. I handled India, I can handle Gaza. Right? This is what he's trying to do. And in which he's delusional about what he's saying that happened in May. Now, he uses the word Allah here to basically saying that, we are actually the spearhead of Islam, a military spearhead of Islam, and who can take care of everything. So, look at Gaza, look at military pact, look at Trump, look at UN, and then King Abdullah, Jordan is seen to be very close to Saudi Arabia. So, essentially, he is saying that, listen, I am the best candidate to chair the stabilization force or to head the stabilization force in Gaza. This is what his statement means, essentially. And he is citing India as an example to say that why he should be given that job.
Okay. Now, speaking of India, from one army chief to another and from one statement to another, India's own army chief has essentially made a statement about Operation Sindoor, calling it an 88-hour trailer. How do we interpret this remark?
See, General Upendra Dwivedi made this statement, at a strategic forum in Delhi. Now, his statement comes after what Asim Munir spoke. Now, when he says it's an 88-hour trailer and that the Indian army can teach Pakistan how to behave, his statement is a statement based on fact. Now I'll tell you why. First of all, during Operation Sindoor, 20% of Pakistan Air Force infrastructure was hit by India, right? 11 air bases, radar installations, everything, right? There was no civilian casualties because that was not the target. The target was terrorist camps, 9 terrorist camps, including Murid Ke, Bahawalpur, and then 11 air bases, which were really taken down, right? Now, what he says is the trailer and saying that, the actual movie is still to come is born from the fact that Indian Army did not use its BrahMos missiles. Only the Indian Air Force used its BrahMos missiles. First of all. Second thing is that the Indian Army, Indian Air Force, Indian Navy stuck to their word and held ceasefire since the time it was announced at 5 p.m. on May 10th. But Pakistan continued to violate that ceasefire through the night and used drones, weapons and everything to attack. Now, Indian Army and the Indian Armed Forces did not take any action because they are a credible force and they believe in what they say. So once the ceasefire was announced, they stuck to it. Pakistan did not. Now, I can tell you something without getting into details of it. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was not very happy when the Indian Armed Forces did not respond, right? And he conveyed in so many words also. So essentially what General Dwivedi is saying is that next time it is not going to be so easy for you. If you commit any mistake or any, if you sound a war bugle, you will be responded in kind in every way possible.
Okay.
So it's basically telling him that, listen, we only used 20% of our capabilities. Next time, the whole force of the Indian Armed Forces is going to come. And let me tell you very clearly, the political directions in this thing were absolutely clear that you respond to everything that is coming. So, in many ways, it's a very serious statement and it's a statement that should be taken very seriously by Pakistan.
Okay. To understand this, are the army chiefs saber rattling? Is this just a way to hype up domestic audiences?
See, as far as Asim Munir is concerned, Asim Munir is now the king of all his surveys in Pakistan. He's backed by the 27th Amendment, which allows him to do anything with absolute, carte blanche from the Pakistan establishment, from the Pakistan judiciary, and nobody can take him to task for anything that he does. So basically, he can do anything that is possible, right? So, but his statement after the 27th Amendment is passed is also designed to pump up the domestic audiences, saying that, listen, I am now the chief of the defense force. I am now the field marshal for life. I am the person who can take care of India, and I am the person who will actually make Pakistan the spearhead of Islam in the Middle East, in the world, and in the Indian subcontinent. So his statement is designed for that purpose only, right? Now, as far as the army chief goes, it's a statement of fact in many ways. And it's also to basically tell them to listen, back off, enough is enough. And we do not want to get into a slanging match with you. But at the same time, it is also important to tell you that we are capable of much more. Okay? Despite what you think you have done in May.
So geopolitically speaking, how is India placed?
See, as far as Pakistan goes, India knows that, it has to be always be prepared with Pakistan. Because, the terrorist groups have not disappeared. The terror training continues to be there. Pakistan is doing a lot of activity that basically indicates that its mindset has not changed. Now, let me give you an example. The arrest of this Hyderabad doctor by the Gujarat ATS, which happened, I think, on November 8th, That doctor had links with what they called was Islamic State of Khorasan Province, ISKP. But intelligence input clearly indicates that this was an ISI operation, where the Hyderabad doctor was trying to concoct the ricin poison to be used against innocent Indians. Now, so Pakistan is using ISKP as a proxy, but the deep state is still there. So that means the Pakistani mindset has not changed. So India has to watch out for Pakistan, because Pakistan will do everything to hit at India internally using proxies, using terrorists, and using whatever in its capacity is there. Right? India, for once, has now a good relationship with China. After what happened on May 2020, my understanding is that the Indian patrols are doing their normal patrolling. There are no longer any hurdles in that. India is continuing to patrol the entire East Ladakh and all along the LAC. There are no hurdles. The relationship has increased, has gone towards normalization. Air traffic has been restored. The flights have resumed. So that relationship is now going towards stability. Pakistan will always be a problem for India, and India has to be prepared for it. And let me also tell you very clearly, the Indian political leadership has given a go on this, saying that anything happens, it has to be responded to. Right? Now, as far as Russia goes, you have President Putin coming in for the summit on December 5th. Already, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is in Russia, is coming after holding talks with his counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. The NSA, Ajit Doval, had a conversation with Nikolai Patrushev, his counterpart, yesterday. So that relationship is looking pretty good. There's no question about it. And the two sides are going in for, various increased defense cooperation, increased trade cooperation, and so on and so forth. Now, as far as US goes, the relationship is pretty much good. There's no question about it, right? We have signed the defense pact, renewed the defense pact. We have decided to buy more oil from US. And my understanding is that India has finally presented its last, whatever it can do for the trade, to increase trade, cut the deficit, and presented its best case to the US. My understanding is that it is now on President Donald Trump's table, and it is for him to take a call and restore the positive equilibrium between the two countries, and then look towards the Indo-Pacific.
All right. Sir, thank you so much for joining us and providing us with all of that crucial insight, also explaining the significance of those two very important statements that were made to help us understand geopolitically what exactly is going on. With that, it's a wrap. But do stay tuned for next week's Point Blank.